take and hide his body. Mm-hmm. So the thing is that we know that we are beyond the physical death. And once you get this essence of being, it is something that is wonderful. And that's why it says in Zechariah, it's wonderful, it's beautiful. So to answer your question, it means, yes, be careful not to give your energy and spirit to the ones who follow the fallen ones who are shadow walkers, because they feed off of light.
I understand.
Cool?
Yes, sir.
Somebody else had a question? Yes.
Well, we're talking about that on subject. I don't get too much of it.
No, well, all right.
But,
remember, we're still in 0. We got 9 to go.
they had a program on
8.
for Tourette's.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So
Is that when people, we had a couple of people in the high school when I was a school resource officer, and the teachers got so upset because this little girl, she was a 7th grader, and so they would ask her, her name was Tiffany. Tiffany, did you do your homework? Watch the little girl. Watch her ears. And she would go, I did my damn homework. What the hell do you think I did? What the fuck? And he'd go off just like that. And the reason for that is because in her system, when she was born, she has an off balance of chemical and synapses of her brain that disallows a flow. When you think your synapses, help me doc when I'm off on the medical, where you begin to think, before you have a thought, you have an electrical current that allows it to happen to the 4 energy points of your brain that allows it to generate a thought. From that flow, it begins to take on not a chemical, but a biological and an electrical point of existence. From there, you begin to feel good. That's where emotions come from. But because she's disrupted, she collectively, like someone that has, well, you can't read when they have the A's, B's, and P's, look, dyslexia. So she has a Tourette syndrome because she remembers these words, and that's a high-end emotion, and they don't truly, if they were right on this newscast or whatever you had that you're looking at, they should have said, we fully don't understand Tourette syndrome. We know it exists, but we know that somehow the young girls, not mostly guys, the young girls that have this, they have a deficiency in the synapses of their system that collects where when you have your flow and you are fluxing and you're feeling good, and even when you're feeling negative, that energy runs up and down your spine, okay? That's why when you have sick, they do you like an egg and they do a spinal tap. That connective disconnects from the synapses and your emotions, and all you remember is, shut the hell up! And I'm like, whoa. So when she gets crazy, I had to go in and stand between the teachers because the teachers be freaking out, and she start throwing chairs and spitting on people. And so I just be like, all right. And so what I do is I just come in there with what was that I give her? What they call it? There was a red candy bar, a Kit Kat. And she was like, oh. And I said, here you go. There's a Kit Kat. And she would calm down. And they finding that chocolate, dark chocolate, helps people with that for some reason. And then, you know what I mean, Doc? And the thing is, dark chocolate has some common effect. Like when women have menstrual cycles, and when I was overseas, pantyhose and Hershey bars were like money in the bank. I'm not lying. Now the thing is, that energy field is dealing with a spirit or emotion of the psyche. And they don't understand fully why people have that Tourette syndrome. But they do know that things that calm it down is chocolate, and to actually give a tone like you do a child when you do the nursery rhyme. Hey, the Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall, Humpty, and all of a sudden they go from, what the? Oh. And then you give them a piece of chocolate, and thank you, Officer Fred, and there it is.
So they're not subject to a host, or they host?
I'm going to say no. I think it's more of a physical thing where some organ is not being fully connected to the system of that child. Just like you have those children that all look alike, they have that brown face. What do they call those children? Start with Down syndrome. Mongoloids. Mongoloids, whether they're Chinese, black, white, Korean, they all have that mongoloid look. And the thing is, with Tourette syndrome, it crosses race lines too, and it's about the synapses not making a full connection electrically to allow the physical and the biological connections to give you a mainstream of thought and motion. And because you can pick up a pencil and stuff like that, the frustration level, you're able to handle it. But she or he, or mostly she, can't handle the emotion, and it triggers that, what you would conceive to be anger, but it's not. Yes, Doc.
I just find it interesting that they have the social context. They're often every other way, but their social context for expressing their anger
Yes.
by utilizing cuss words is socially correct for expressing anger in our society. So if they're really off, how do they keep that part in? How do they know to use cuss words? Why don't they say blue or yellow or whatever? I mean, they're using in context. If you're really mad, you cuss somebody out. So they got that right. How do they get that right? That's, you know, to use those words. You can be angry and not use cuss words, but they intend to.
The reason for that is, from my understanding, Doc, is that when we are angry and when we have something upset, the negative zone of curse words represent a stronger spirit. And when we can channel that and reverse the negative issues of that stronger negative issuance of words and action and bring it to positive, then we'll have that strength. What that individual wants is that power and that strength. Like when we had a study on bullies and things, you know, we were doing that strength and that adrenaline that they have, that negative adrenaline, that all of a sudden it creates that flux of energy that's in the system. It's almost an adrenal gland that produces sort of a sweet thing for a bully. That's why bullies become bullies, because they like tasting the sweetness of this chemical that they make in their body. Like when an entertainer goes out in front of an audience, they'd rather have that. It creates that biological flow of elixir that they drink from. You know, when I was in charge of Billy Graham, you know, the security, and he would, when I seen him, I said, is the man gonna die on us? Because he looked like he was dead. And then all of a sudden, they wheeled him to the, you know, to the stage, and he would, and they do that little round thing with the hand, you know, and then all of a sudden they said, and here comes Billy Graham, and the man stood up. And I'm like, what the hell? I thought he was dead. and it's weird because he stood up, and he said, and then he walked out, and he was Billy Graham. I'm like, what the hell? No, I'm really, I mean, this is what I seen, and I'm like, whoa. So the only thing I can say is he's still a host.
But I guess the point I'm making, something's working in a social context. So that's simple.
But I don't know what it is, Doc.
Yeah, I don't need that. That just is so strange how they're off, but in one sense, and in another sense, they're kind of in context. They kind of understand how to get that power.
And that's what it is. It's the power. Right.
They understand that clearly.
Right.
You know, so they're really not off. They're off, but it's just a weird kind of off.
Then they channel through that strongly.
Also,
But I don't know, Doc.
while you were talking about, I was thinking about how David was playing the harp and how that kind of eased, sort of what is called Saul, eased that evil spirit. So I was wondering, maybe that candy bar or whatever it is might make that child, maybe that might.
How many strings was on David's harp? 32. I know. How many strings was on David's harp? Not now. I know you played, don't you? How many?
I think it was add up to 7.
No. How many?
I don't know, talk about my tape, but I don't know what they mean.
7. 7. We call it a harp. Now the harp goes from this size to like big giant thing. And really, when you deal with the harp and you turn the harp, let me go use this for a second time. And you turn the harp from being like this, you know, you play it, and you turn the harp this way, and you put it inside a casing, and you put a stool here, and you put black and white keys on it, it becomes a piano. And it has 88 keys. 8 and 8 is 16, representing 7. the black and white keys become minor, hard, and soft upper